Hello, everybody. Tracy, Mrs. JDog Flanagan with you here today. Welcome back to another exciting episode of Tactical Treasures Podcast, powered by JDog and Bet TV. Our podcast gives veterans, mil spouses, active military members, and military family members a voice in the veteran space to speak about their service, how they're affecting their communities post-service, and they share with me a tactical treasure that has helped them in their journey in their military career, business, or life. Today, I'm very excited to have on the podcast Alex Archawski, who is a Navy veteran, having served for a total of 6 years between active duty and the reserves. Post-service, Alex founded the nonprofit, the Greater Philadelphia Veterans Network, and he is also the co-founder of the Veteran Shark Tank. As a prominent advocate for his fellow veterans, Alex has been a guest speaker numerous times in the veteran community, including the SBA Boots to Business program, the Veterans Entrepreneurial Jumpstart, and Bunker Labs. On top of all of this, Alex currently holds the position of president of Sales Evolution, whose mission is to empower individuals and businesses to grow sales, drive sales performance, and create a culture of sales excellence. Alex, welcome to the podcast. I'm so excited to speak with you today.
Tracy, thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
Yeah. So could you talk to us about your military career? What initially led you to join the Navy?
A couple different reasons. You know, it's funny. The older you get, you kind of look back on it. You're saying, what was the true reason again?
Yeah.
And, but at the end of the day, went to college. My father served, so I saw him serving, but he served in the French Navy. It was kind of a unique situation.
Okay.
We were in the United States, and I was around a lot of French Navy ships that used to come here for the reserve duty. So I saw service and how he served in the military. And as well as finishing college, I ran out of financial aid. And I said, you know what, I'll just finish in the military and go to OCS later. So what I did is I joined in, stuck to what I enjoyed doing in the military, and just didn't go to OCS and just ran it through to the end.
Right. So you transitioned out of the military service, first from active and then from reserves. What was that like for you, transitioning out?
I was stationed overseas. I was stationed in Japan. And living overseas is very unique in itself, and being in the military is very unique in itself. So I felt like a foreigner in many ways when I came back. The first transition I thought was a little bit harder than normal. I had a degree and I was enlisted, but at the same time, it felt like, why aren't people employing me? I'm maybe like a junior military officer, but I was enlisted, so I really didn't connect, and I really saw the process. But in my blood, I really understood that you had to sell yourself to get a job. So that's one of those things of the challenge of the first transition. I stayed on active in the reserve duty with Inshore Boat Unit 25 and a couple of other units as well in the reserves. And then I got called back up to active duty after 9/11, 2 months later, unemployed. The company let me go a month before deployment, which was legal. But I had no job when I came back, and I had to transition all over again after being in the Middle East. Yeah. And that's what led me to kind of create the organization some years down the road of really figuring out a better transition process.
Right. Yeah. So you founded the nonprofit organization, the Greater Philadelphia Veterans Network, and obviously we're familiar with that here at JDog. Could you talk to us about why and how the organization first came to be? And to be honest, I don't know that I know that story.
It's not saying that we forget to tell the story over and over, right?
Sure.
Sometimes we're just so busy helping other individuals. But what I saw was, it wasn't about helping resumes. It wasn't about that. It was about community. It was, rather the individual approaches, like, hey, what are we doing as a community to support the transition? And where are all the veterans that are successfully transitioned?
Right.
How do we bring them back to support the ones that are transitioning? So we're so focused on helping a transitioning veteran rather than bringing the community closer to the veteran. So I said, why don't we build the largest network of veterans in the community on different industries? And what I saw was missing, was the hardest thing, was really career objective. As a search and rescue swimmer, I wasn't going to swim in the Schuylkill of the Delaware River when I got out.
Sure.
I don't think anybody wanted to swim in that river.
Yeah.
But at the same time, those are translatable skills. But I really wanted to see, where were all the veterans in sales? Where are all the veterans here? And if I made it easier, my process would have been easier. So people say it was long, it was hard. Yes, because the info took forever. So I decided, let's bridge the divide. Let's educate the employers. Let's educate the community. And then I saw, well, we need to provide value. If we're not seen as valuable and we're only getting hourly jobs and just barely entry, maybe the community doesn't understand our value. So that's where we started really doing a lot of work of mid-level, senior military training. And then really the DNA of a veteran was getting them to really understand how to approach the job search. But rather than educating them and then leaving them in the room, we said, come to our programs, come meet other veterans, come meet employers, get the connections into the network, rather than just training them in a room and say, good luck. Right. So we said integrate, and it evolved over time where we saw business success, veterans transition, and they go into leadership. They want a bigger role. They transition between jobs. So we realized that rather than just transitioning out of the military, let's make our community one of the best destinations for our veterans and help them grow economically. Better leaders, hire more veterans, better business owners. And what you and Jerry are doing are a staple of our community as successful business owners. We want to highlight all that, and others want to be like you. So we need to march together to show our community that we're very, very strong, and also just to do business with one another.
Sure. So what are some of the specific programs that GPVN provides for both the veterans and the business owners?
Yeah. So, what we started to do, we did a program called Take a Vet to Work. It's like Take Your Daughter to Work Day.
Oh, okay.
So we did it. We said not many people knew it, but what we did is we sent them one by one, where companies like Holt Logistics or others were like, yeah, anytime they want to come see what we do, have them come in. So we had these partners that weren't just saying, hey, I'll help them with a resume. I said, hey, go see what supply is or logistics is with Penn Power. Go see what this pharmaceutical, go see what this finance company, go see what this IT company. So this Take a Vet to Work helped veterans better understand the civilian jobs so they could apply and interview better, because they're doing it from, images they don't understand. So that helps the transition process a lot more when you start integrating into civilian companies. That was one. The other one, which is 10 years old, is our speed interviewing and speed networking for student vets.
Oh, wow.
So we brought that's one of our staples, which a long time ago, we created a process. We're saying, okay, if veterans have a hard time to pitch themselves, they're going to do it in a 3-minute manner and pitch their value for 30 employers in a room, 3 minutes at a time. So
sounds like speed dating.
It does. It does. But when you're trying to do things different and saying job fairs aren't really you don't get a conversation.
Sure.
We built our community of employers, the ones that said, what can we do to help? I said, come to the speed networking interviewing, but you have to have real jobs. You can't just be there to say, I helped veterans.
Right.
So what happens is when they saw value, then they created a real interview afterwards for them. They weren't just hiring them on the spot.
Right.
And that's one of many. And then we have our veteran business referral network, our veteran Shark Tank, so on and so forth. We've kind of, been make sure to run deep and wide in them.
Hello, viewers and listeners. Are you a military veteran or military family member and looking to own your own business? If so, go to JDog.com and check out our 2 veteran-focused franchises, JDog Junk Removal and Hauling and JDog Carpet Cleaning and Floor Care. Our franchisees nationwide are always looking to hire fellow veterans and patriots. JDog is the world's largest military franchise system with hundreds of locations nationwide. We are nearly 90% veteran-owned with the goal of reducing the veteran unemployment rate to under 1%. Check us out. Go to jdog.com to learn more. Now, back to the podcast. Okay, so the Veteran Shark Tank, I want to move on to that. I actually love the concept, and Jerry's was on it and didn't win. I think the first one. And
I think it's number 2, actually.
Or number 2, right.
2013.
Yeah, and he actually has been a judge and has helped you vet prior to the actual judging. But I'd love to speak specifically about the Shark Tank. So could you tell us just a little bit more about that?
Right. I mean, I think to go back to JDog and you and Jerry, it's a staple of success, right? It takes time to succeed, and
It does.
there's bumps and bruises. So we
Yeah.
see people at different areas, and some of them are more successful that weren't winners. So winning doesn't mean much. We've had winners that
Right.
are non-existent anymore.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it was just, as I tell Jerry, it's the moment of that answer you provided the Sharks, and they didn't like it. But that's what it is. Most people think it's a pitch, and I said, you better have your answers ready, because
Right.
that's where you get judged,
Yeah.
not your pitch.
Yeah.
So what I saw was missing in 2012 was an opportunity to be around aspiring veteran entrepreneurs. I met them and I was like, wow, why are they hanging out solo? Why don't we build a community to inspire each other? And, we put a room full. John knew, of course, with his space, what helped me put it together as being co-founder. And then we it's social entrepreneurship. Everybody's like, what are we doing?
Right.
So at the end of the day, what it was we got together and we did an event. We had to call people and say, please pitch.
Right. Yeah.
So Mike Mayer with Hauser, of course, was like a little reluctant. We're like, Mike, you're gonna crush it. Just come in. Right.
Yeah.
So we created an event. About 32 people showed up. We got Drexel Online as a sponsor, which was nice. It was real nice.
Right. Sure.
Ken Hartman was really, really nice to see that vision. And then we gave a check and lost money. So half the people of the committee said that was an epic failure. And the other half said, hey, that's a great way to get started. Let's see what we can do. Right. So I fired the ones that said it was a failure. And then we just kept on going. Yeah. And from that moment on, what we wanted to do was inspire our community to build sit in the audience to say, hey, I want to be them one day. And for the community to say, hey, what do you have? Do you think what you have what it takes? Inspired, of course, by the show.
Sure.
Right? But what I saw was missing was blue collar, white collar, enlisted and officer. And I said, why are we just hovering around life sciences and technology and scaling company? Let's bring in people that have really good ideas. Maybe they don't scale so fast, but it's a solid business plan. And let's get them on stage to pitch. So we're never going to judge on scalability. Right. And that's what everybody else does. Everybody does scalability.
Yeah.
Right. So, and then after a while, we said, okay, why don't we do a sit down dinner to inspire our community, which we're battling all the time on the news with a lot of things that veterans need. They need help with mental health. There's all kinds of homelessness, but at the same time, our audience of employers and community were only hearing that. So our value wasn't enough. And I had to meet it. I had to meet it to say, hey, do you want to see veterans that are kicking butt? Come to the dinner. So what it did is it made them connect the dots rather than just hearing in the news that we're all broken.
Right. Sure. Yeah.
So that was kind of the inspiration of doing the dinner, and then Comcast supporting us through these years.
Right. So Veteran Shark Tank is actually coming up in December. Okay. So how can veterans who have a business idea sign up to be a participant?
Well, if they're listening, which a lot of them will, they're going to say, I'll never win. So you got to get rid of that thought.
Obviously, you don't know what you don't know.
We know what we know. We know all of them. They all are on the fence. Should I, is it a waste of time? Is it, we all can do it or we all cannot. But if you're looking to succeed, it's not just about the money. It's the network, the relationships before the event, after the event. We're telling people it's not just the pitch. It's the relationships you build for life. Either you need more funders, you need more buyers, you need more partners, you need referral partners, you need resources, you need vendors. We can help you all in those areas. And we've gotten to the point we're proud to have alumni, distinguished alumni. Right. And they carry that brand. To be the 5 finalists is an honor because we have some heavy vetting done by the committee. Yeah. So it's, we had an amazing winner last year.
Yeah. Yes. I remember the body wear for women
Correct. Torch
veterans.
Warrior
Yes,
with
Torch
Haley.
Warrior.
And,
Yes.
one of our youngest participants, I think I'm not sure
Yeah.
the age, but in the 20s.
Mm-hmm.
But to come in with an energy of I am the best,
Right.
and here's my business, and we vetted her business beforehand.
Yeah.
It makes good show.
She was amazing. And I really, I could relate to what she was talking about because her body wear was also for like first responders. And for me, I used to be an EMT paramedic and I was in that space for close to 10 years. And, all that stuff, I was wearing men's stuff and I'm a petite woman. And so I really could relate. I loved her idea. I thought it was awesome. And couldn't have been a better winner. But, like you said, it's all about exposure too, just to actually just expose yourself to, like you say, the network, the audience and everything. It's just, you don't know who you don't know. And it could be just one little connection can propel your business. You just never know. And
It is, and sometimes
we've seen that
a year
firsthand.
from now or 2 years from, but those relationships are run, and you can talk to any alumni. They found something, even if they may have not been the winner.
Right.
But one thing that we've gotten a lot better in, and you can get better, it's like a business, but it's social entrepreneurship and nonprofit, but you got to make it where it's customer service driven, right?
Right.
One thing we realize is, yes, we can get better in many different places with our sponsors and other things. But what we realize is we only want certain sponsors in the room because the energy level is there.
Right.
So if we have a company that doesn't know us and they fill up tables, it's very different vibe. So we really want to make sure we know the relationships and then they invite their network.
Right.
And so we have companies that have brought hiring managers. They brought the CEO of their companies where they're selling the value. So we're also using the Shark Tank to sell the community. What are you going to do more with veterans? So most people don't know that secret ingredient that happens behind the scenes. Most people are like, hey, what are you doing for these 5 entrepreneurs? We're like, well, those 5 entrepreneurs are helping us sell the value to our community. Right. So it's a win-win all around.
Win-win. Yeah, I can see that. Great stuff. Hello, viewers and listeners. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of Tactical Treasures podcast. We are currently speaking with Alex Archawski, who is a Navy veteran, having served for a total of 6 years between active duty and the reserves. Post-service, he is the founder of the nonprofit, the Greater Philadelphia Veterans Network, and is also the co-founder of the Veteran Shark Tank, which was created in 2012 to promote and assist veterans who are starting or growing their businesses. 5 finalists pitched their business idea to a panel of sharks in front of a live, sold-out audience in Philadelphia. The winner of Shark Tank receives a $50,000 cash prize, and each of the finalists gains invaluable experience to help them grow professionally and to help expand their network and businesses. This is the veteran pitch competition, and you won't want to miss out. If you are a veteran business owner looking to participate, head to veteransharktank.com and fill out the application located on the website. Now back to the podcast. Now let's dive into your tactical treasure. What would you like to share with us today?
Well, I think, there's so much, and I'm sure you've had a ton of guests trying to figure out what is the treasure, right? Because then you feel like, oh boy, is it one or treasures or, other than my spouse, who it's our 20th anniversary today. So
congratulations.
If I didn't give that shout out, I would be in a world of trouble for treasure, right? I'd be down in the ocean with the other treasure. So for me, it's just those moments in the military where you find yourself a couple minutes there, you're on duty, you're with your compadres and camaraderie, but you have memory treasures. I have a lot of pictures, but just moments like when I climbed Mount Fuji on my birthday, right? And I didn't envision it, but this person gave me a walking stick and I'm like, a walking stick. I mean, I'm not old. right? And I go, no, 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 you don't understand. You mark the journey. And I'm like, mark the journey. So you don't understand until you do it
Right.
that Japanese are very symbolic. And that, you start learning that as everything is very cherished in memory and they
Mm.
do it really well. So what I said was, wow, they just made that into like the best experience because they branded every elevation point on the stick. You go into this hut and they brand the stick with the elevation number.
Oh, wow.
And what I realized, I was like, oh, I carried it around. And then when I got home after doing it, I was like, how many people have this stick branded?
Yeah.
And I was like, that's you can't buy that anywhere.
No, you can't.
So, but it was on my birthday, and I really was thinking about the hike. How it was really was something pretty cool to do. So I saw that as a really good treasure. And also, my time in Australia when getting this, it was my first port visit. And when your first port visit in the Navy, you just want to have a great time, right? And hanging with the locals is, you feel like you've been in a foreign country, just being in military boot camp and all that, and you just feel like nothing is different. And just hanging with the locals, and then how welcoming they were in Darwin, and being given a gift of a didgeridoo. I said, "Well, that's super nice, super nice." So those moments keep it cherished. I mean, I don't know. I may have a few
Right.
more, but those two real. And I've sand from the Middle East when I was out there in the Middle
Oh,
East for my
wow.
deployment.
Wow.
One thing I may have missed, which is now probably more important because it's symbolic today, because of our anniversary, is when I was deployed in the Middle East, my friend said, Alex, before you get deployed, I told him I was going to engage, propose to Renee the day before we left. He goes, don't do it. Don't get her a ring. And I was like, why? He goes, we'll get it in the Middle East. And I had no idea. And I'm like, what are you talking about?
Wow.
He was a jeweler from York, Pennsylvania. And he goes, no, no, no. I think we're going to be in Dubai for like a day or two on the way there, on the way home. I'm guaranteeing it. I'm like, okay. So lo and behold, on the way home, he goes, let's go. We're in Dubai. He goes, let's go get the ring. So Renee gave me everything and we went in. I got pictures too of them customizing a ring, picking a diamond, and I gave it to Renee. When I came home, she goes, welcome home. Where's my ring? She didn't say it like that, but I knew what she meant. She was dying to know what
Right.
I got. So her ring is probably the most impactful tactical treasure because of our anniversary today.
Oh, yeah.
But that's a together thing where nothing can replace it because of the journey of the deployment in the Middle East and getting something there. I just crossed my fingers and saying, I hope it's not fake.
But you know what? If it is, it's still special. That is very, very special. I love that treasure and all of your treasures. Really, I mean, it just, little mementos from your journeys, I think are amazing. And that's really great. Um, so this has been awesome discussion. Although I do have to ask you one last question before we end our time together. Do you have any advice for your fellow veterans who may be struggling with transition or post-service life?
Yeah, I think, we always say you got to find your tribe.
True.
But it doesn't mean you have to stay in the same tribe. Doesn't mean, you can have a church tribe. You can have a neighborhood tribe.
Right.
You can have a little league tribe. You can have a business tribe. Um, it's healthy. It might be different than what most people say. But when somebody gets out of the military, I tell them, put your head in the sand, work hard, civilianize, come up for air, and connect back with us. If not, you're not fully transitioning out. So a lot
Wow.
of people do not fully transition out. They keep the veteran 100% in
Right.
them.
Right.
So we can see those that are succeeding when they have continuous transition. They won't find purpose, immediately out. It's a journey. As long as they know the long game, transitioning could happen in anybody's life. Even our parents transition
Sure.
to aging.
Yeah.
So transition for us, we use it as a crutch, right? But
Mm.
as long as I say it's a life experience transitioning. And on the positive note, getting out of work, getting a job, getting out of the military, getting a job, becoming a leader, and then owning your business. And what great transition is that for a veteran? So the transition can be upbeat if the person makes it upbeat, and it can be realistic if they see the journey rather than put pressure on themselves to say, I have to be fully transitioned out by Sunday at midnight.
Right. Yeah, sure.
Which is the number one issue of getting out. And the community all, of course, does not understand military, and it's hard, and it will always be like that. So we can't say and divide ourselves more because we're the ones dividing, not them.
Right.
Is we're the ones that can bridge the gap more is okay. We have warts, they have warts, but we are all together. And I don't mean warts in bad ways. I'm
Right.
just says we have our isms.
Yeah,
And
sure.
so it can get hard. If people have struggle at work, this is where you contact us, where they feel like they're not being fed enough to succeed. Nobody understands them, X, and then we put blame games. So we said, get with your tribe, learn how to internalize, how to find the right job, and find what your goals are rather than spinning. Because once you start individualizing it, that's when you really might hit rock bottom by yourself.
Sure.
So we're trying to capture people when we see hints of it, if that makes sense.
Right. Yeah.
Everybody's vulnerable. You can't go through life without getting hit around a little bit.
Sure. Of course. Great advice though. Great advice. So Alex, before you go, how can people find and connect with you? Where can they find out more information about Veteran Shark Tank and GPVN Network?
Sure. So, Shark Tank is other way, this way, on the other side.
Got it.
And to contact us, we have all that information there, how to apply, sponsor it, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. All the rules on that. Greater Philadelphia Veterans Network, gpvn.org. If they have questions, they can reach out as well. Olivia will be happy to answer any of that and to engage with the community. And for myself, I'm on LinkedIn, Alex Archawski, happy to see how I can help and serve our community. I just want people to be a little bit patient. Just because I didn't respond immediately does not mean I'm ignoring. It just gets overwhelming sometimes.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But I will leave on the tagline is, in order to be part of the Philly Vets community, we ask that you don't attend, you participate. Anybody could attend the movie,
great.
But in our world, we need veterans to participate. So if you're not ready to participate, maybe hold off.
I got it. That's great advice. Great tag. Alex, thank you so much for coming on and sharing everything that you did. I love your tactical treasures. They're so special and inspiring. And congratulations, and give my best to Renee. So happy for you guys.
Well, thank you so much for having me on, and I'm sure we'll see each other.
Yep, we'll see you soon. Bye-bye now. Hello, viewers and listeners. Thank you for tuning in to this episode where we have just finished up an amazing conversation with Alex Archawski, who is a Navy veteran having served for a total of 6 years between active duty and the reserves. He is also the founder of the nonprofit, the Greater Philadelphia Veterans Network, and also the co-founder of the Veteran Shark Tank, which was created in 2012 to promote and assist veterans who are starting or growing their businesses. 5 finalists pitched their business idea to a panel of sharks in front of a live, sold-out audience in Philadelphia. The winner of Veteran Shark Tank receives a $50,000 cash prize, and each of the finalists gained invaluable experience to help them grow professionally and to help expand their network and businesses. This is the veteran pitch competition, and you won't want to miss out. If you are a veteran business owner looking to participate, head to veteransharktank.com and fill out the application located on the website. Thanks for tuning into this episode of Tactical Treasures Podcast, and don't forget, You can find us on all your favorite podcast streaming platforms, as well as Vet TV. We are now airing on Reach Across America Radio on Wednesdays at 10 p.m. Eastern. And if you miss that, don't forget you can catch the encore on Saturdays at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. You can also find Reach Across America Radio on the iHeartRadio app, the Odyssey app, and the TuneIn app. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Tactical Treasures Podcast. We'll see you on another podcast soon. Bye-bye now.